Who's Infinite Playlist. Today we have Dave Prewitt of DaveTV.
Woo! Yay me!
Do you want to explain exactly what DaveTV is for those who might not be aware?
Absolutely. I have a cable access show where we spotlight bands that typically are from Texas, but there's no rules. I don't like rules. If a band came from somewhere they want to play, they're going to play. Like we've had some folks in that Days and Days brought in from Washington and West Virginia and all sorts. So whoever that doesn't get the exposure you can get for money on regular media, that's my audience, So I used to do it years ago, decades ago actually, as Capsize, and I did it from like 1990 to 07, and I quit in 07 to focus on the internet angle. Right at that time is when I started to embrace that DaveTV moniker, because earlier on when I had my show, DaveTV was David Lee Roth video, and it's just barely gotten out of that generation where people forget that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, we'll try, because everyone always called me that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But so we went with it. And so I started doing all this stuff online, and it picked up, and my YouTube got crazy subscriptions and tons of just hits all the time. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And it satisfied my itch, because this is all about my nerd itch.
Right.
I play with toys, and if there's not a band for me to play with my toys with, everybody loses, right?
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, and doing it on the net was fine enough for me. Then there became a little bit of push from another access producer wanting me to show up and help him with his show. And I was like, man, I gave all that up. I don't even want to go there. But okay, sure, you need my help. You've asked me for like a year. Okay, cool. So I went in there, and it was just surreal the first time I walked in. It was like all these good and bad memories start flowing in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I got to sit down for a minute. And so I soaked it all up, and I went and I did a show for a few weeks. And then it was clear that, it's like the hook was in, and I'm not going to do his show. I need to do my show, So that's where DaveTV was born, like November 17. Will and Ryan, my boys, came up with the idea to fund it, because that was it was going to take me $500 to get back in the game. I'm like, oh well, great idea. And they were like, go fund me or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. All right, cool. So I did it. I gave it like 90 days or whatever to get the $500, and I was like, who knows?
Yeah.
Less than 24 hours, it was $500.
Oh my
and
goodness,
I was like,
yeah.
well, I guess y'all really want me to do this, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, so I did it, and here we are, right? So I'm going to keep doing it. And the year after I was on again, Derek Todd from Worthless Humans, punk rock band in Austin, who's now relocated to Colorado to raise his family, came up with Dayfest and was like, we're going to do this. And I'm like, man, everybody's been wanting me to do that since day one, and I'm not into like asking somebody for money or putting my name on a thing. It's weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you don't have to come. We're doing it. And I'm
It's happening.
okay. Right on. Well, cool. And it was gangbusters. It was crazy, just insane. So, hand it to him, take the reins. The Bowley crowd helped us put it on the second year. This year it's going on with Dana Near Splitting Media and the Bowleys, so it's kind of passing the torch vibe.
Yeah.
But that's the one time a year we are going out to try to grab a couple bucks to pay the series fees.
Right.
You know the drill.
Yeah.
Web space is expensive, whatever it is. There's a little money. The thing I always communicate is, if I didn't get a dime, it's still going to happen. I'm just going to have to work my budget a little harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I won't have as fancy of toys.
Yeah.
But whatever the bands, and that's what it really relies on, the bands put into what I'm doing is what I give back.
Yeah.
And so it starts with my desire, like yours as a fan, to see music, hear it, check out the band, share it with people. The icing on the cake is that it's supported.
Right.
I'm going to do it either way, especially if they don't like me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it this way, So, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one day there will be a Julie Fest.
Yes, there should be. We got to get that together.
That would be a ton of fun.
Hell yeah. You're what, a year in now?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's fun. There's so many great places in this town that support our kind of deal.
Yeah.
You could just knock that out in a heartbeat. Not to mention San Marcos. I mean, there's such a scene there too.
There really is.
Oh my God.
I have been very surprised by San Marcos.
Yeah, I mean, you go up to a place and the zip is 78666. You think music is going to be the big? Yeah, I think it's
Probably,
going to be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
And do you stick to a specific genre of music? Is it just like rock, or do you just, I don't care, there's no rules, just whatever?
I like the no rules. I used to, and it's stuck with me to this day, be the metalhead, and I can't tell you anything about metal in the last 2 decades. But growing up, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I was a metalhead, bang your head. I kind of did the zero mentality there that there was nothing else at that time, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think probably pick your genre. Most of us passionate about music start there because we're so passionate about what we found that we love so much that we think there's nothing else.
Yeah.
So I respect it.
Yeah.
But things like that got me into situations, as an example, where Madonna on the Like a Virgin tour played the Frank Erwin Center with this new band called the Beastie Boys opening. And I'm like, oh no, that's radio crap. That's not metal. I'm not going, screw that.
Yeah.
And of course today I would chop an arm off to see that show.
Right.
So, but we live and learn. So today, wide, I will listen to anything. I think because of some of what I've just explained, I'm not real keen on metal. I don't want to say I dislike anything because I'm open to any music.
Yeah.
Great metal bands in town. Blackthorn Halo, one of my favorite bands. Metal, very metal.
Yeah.
All my old school friends that still do their metal from then, I'm still digging that. I just don't have a lot of extra room in the brain for new metal, but I did hear that new Judas Priest and go, wow, okay. So there's that. But I am more, because of Will, primarily, and his exposure into the punk rock scene, and his band been into punk rock since he kind of took off there. So the last 4 or 5 years, I'm open to punk rock bands I grew up with that I dissed because I was a metalhead.
Yeah.
All the Misfits, screw that. Black Flag, oh yeah, I don't want to see that because they came through town all the time.
Yeah.
I constantly remember them coming through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, albeit the Watchtower show. But so, looking back, it is what it is. But moving forward, I know that my tastes are wide. I'll listen to anything. I think the things I don't like to listen to probably aren't so much based on the style of the music as is the exposure of it.
Yeah.
FM radio. If it's on FM radio, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear Zeppelin, etc.
Yeah.
So.
I've gotten kind of out of the whole radio stuff. Like, I just, so, do you know Jason Deb Morning Show on 101X?
Mm-hmm.
At the most recent Jimmy Wednesday, Jason's band, the Sucktones, played.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of mornings where he happened to mention it, and he did not say a word about any of the other bands that were playing, and I was just like, you don't understand. All of these bands playing with you could do a lot with the exposure you could give them by just saying their name on your radio show, but you're not.
No.
You're just focused on yourself right now.
Absolutely.
It made me so mad.
It's unreasonable. It's like, really, dude? And I get that's kind of a joke thing for him.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke thing for the rest of the people on that bill.
Exactly, and like
And you have a big radio slot.
Yeah, I sat there and I listened to them try to play Alkaline Trio for about 2 seconds, and then I told my friend, I was like, I can't listen to this. It's pissing me off too much. Like,
It hurts.
he thinks this is a huge joke, and I am legit here for all the other bands that are here that not only are actual real musicians who do it well, but they're going to kill all of the covers that they're doing. So, and they did.
Give it to him for consistency. He hasn't changed in 10, 15 years.
This is true. Mm-hmm. This is very true. Because unfortunately, for whatever reason, I continue to listen to that morning show.
Yeah.
And it's been the same the entire time he's been on there. So.
Morning radio fills a spot. I try to support local. My boys with the Dale and Bob and Matt show are like, go back years for me, so it's kind of almost like a family spot in my heart. But radio, I listen locally, and I do the same thing you just did. I'm like, oh, they're talking about Bob Schneider, but they're not talking about All Opposed.
Yeah.
So I start to get that, and so I cut all that out, and I listen to, I love Howard Stern, so I listen to that when I can.
Yeah.
But anytime I can get any kind of talk, NPR I listen to, any of the public radio stuff, that's where I put my radio on.
Yeah. Yeah.
The local music, KUTX, of course.
Yeah.
91.7, whatever time of the day you're listening there. Both teams do an amazing job.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So.
So that's the stuff I'm into radio-wise. When I say FM radio, I hope people understand what I mean, because I don't mean them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And what were your goals for Dave TV when you first started?
For Dave TV, to not replicate Capsize.
Okay.
So Capsize was great, and we made a dent with all of the scene, like I'm trying to do today, through the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, and that's kind of when we were relevant, you know, and taking away, definitely, I changed, cable access changed, our viewers changed, television changed, everything changed. From '07, think about media, from like early 2000s to now, you know. I started 2014, so we'll say now, you know. Things have changed so much, so it's a big different game going back in there. So my goal was to be relevant, not play the old stuff, not rest on my laurels and say it's Capsize. That's one of the main reasons for the name change, although essentially we're still carrying the same mind frame of what we're doing. We're supporting local music. But it needs a title, so I gave it Dave TV, and there we are, you know. And I think my goal with it is just to stay relevant, to not be focused on who I was, but who we are and who are we gonna be moving forward, you know? One of the things I also, not so much as a goal, but that really is off my radar now, I did tons of things with that show in our heyday. There's a Billboard Award right there.
That's amazing.
I've been to the party, right? Yeah. I'm done. I'm good. Local people. I don't care. I'm not looking to go get, what am I going to be when I grow up? No. This is what I want. I'm not looking to get my show signed. I'm not looking to get on the networks. I'm doing what I do, which is the beauty of it. Yeah. You know? And because it's like my production, without dissing all of the fabulous volunteers that make it happen, at the end of the day, what goes out is what I say. You know, the bands, the music, the order, the edit, the lights, although people help me put it all together, it's such a creative high. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's the big deal. To keep it like that. That's my goal.
And what have been your favorite videos or shows to film?
You know, there's been so many crazy things. There's some like stuff I'll touch on like from way back, like Deep Blue Something was a band that was hot in the 90s, and we got to know them, and they were friends of the show, and you are a mean dog. I have a very mean dog who thinks so everybody is in his world. But so, you know, we were filming them, and my cameraman like walked right across the guitar amp stuff and unplugged his guitar like 3 times during the middle of their set at the height of their career. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to ever forget that. Yeah. That's not such a great highlight, but that's one. You know, there's been so many things happen since I've got back that make me feel like I've achieved that, or at least are carrying my focus of being relative, right? Yeah. So I go to a show that we're shooting, like, I'll give you Dave Fest, for example, last year, Days and Days. Like, I know the lineup, we had some great people, like, locally that are going to bring in the crowd, right? Yeah. Days and Days became friends of the show, which, number one, blew me away because I know how huge they are everywhere but home. You know, like, it's classic for Texas in general, unfortunately. But so they come, and all their fans not only show up for their set, but for the other bands, and it's unbelievably packed. Like, you cannot, like, if you open the door, someone's going to fall out. Like, there's a line waiting, 1 leave, 1 enter, you know? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and to me, that was one of the most amazing events I'd ever been at, whether it's because I was shooting it, it was for the show, I booked it, any of the above. To me, I was on cloud 9. Yeah. So that right there, geez, amazing. So that's the kind of thing I think of when you ask for, like, the highlights for something. Yeah. There's been a million things over the time I've done this. Like I say, earlier in the career, I did, like, all of the things I wanted to do as a music fan. Interview Sammy Hagar, interview Ted Nugent. You know, those are like, I'm a rock guy. So I was like, you mean, you said, I asked and you said yes? So I show up with my camera?
And this happens?
Sure, let's go, you know? And so those kind of things are stellar. Yeah. Mila Jovovich, crazy actress woman. She's an amazing musician. Yeah. I would have never known that had I not ran into her in '94. Yeah. Spent a whole day with her. She went on the road. We played phone tag for 6 months. She came back, hung out all day with her again. Did all these videos for her. I'm like, that happened.
Yeah.
That happened. And to this day, her keyboard player is on my Facebook, and we chat all the time. And every second or third time, he's like, "Oh, Mila says hi." I'm like, "Oh, great, hi." Hi, Mila.
How's she doing?
Yeah, tell her I miss her greatly. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know? But we, I guess we kind of hit it off back then. It was really cool. Some great Mila stories from back then. But that's like a highlight.
Yeah.
I hung out on the bus with Cypress Hill. Got high as hell.
Nice.
That's a highlight. Highlight, right? I mean, Chong.
Yeah.
I helped people pass him drugs while we were waiting to do press. You don't get that anywhere else.
No.
You know what I mean? But that's all great, and I still get excited about it, right? But today it's about what's happening here.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. So things like, Pantera was a big deal when I was doing all that. I was not real into them then, but Phil now has all these other projects, including some of my dear friends in his band.
That's
so at that level, I'm like, holy crap. I'm helping promote Phil and his bands with my friends at this level.
Yeah.
So it's kind of full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm all over the map. Like I said, that stuff's metal. I love Super Joint Ritual. I support the other bands that he does. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But I appreciate his my age old man still screaming metal attitude. So
I did want to touch on, I looked at some of the pictures on your site and saw you've gotten pictures with Joan Jett, Mila Jovovich, Stevie Ray, and Jimmy Vaughn and Willie Nelson. Are those the coolest people you've met, or you've listed on
Julie is the coolest person I've ever met.
No, I'm not.
Come on, sounds great, doesn't it?
It's very nice, but it's not true.
Yes.
You met Willie Nelson,
Willie's on Willie Nelson Day with the mayor.
Oh my god.
How does that happen?
Amazing.
And of course, the only thing I can think of is, how am I going to get high?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. Just for the record, it didn't happen. Joan, oh my God, Joan Jett. So Joan Jett is a somewhat protected person when it comes to press, right? Like you don't see her blowing up the interviews,
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan, of course, and
I love Joan Jett.
one of the video promoters, they have people back in the day when I did my other show, Raw Time. Video promoters are just like radio promoters. They're people who are paid by labels to call video shows and go, will you play this clip?
Right.
So one of those guys, great dude, was friends with Joan Jett's manager, the guy who's been her manager since she left the Runaways. And he plays keyboards in the band and the whole thing. So they worked together, and I was like, man, anytime. Like, Joan comes through, Joan wants to do an interview, please. And I just kept at him and kept at him.
Yeah.
So finally, Joan came through, and I think the first time I met her was at Liberty Lunch when she looked like that I Love Rock and Roll Joan Jett, as you say. So that was at Liberty Lunch, and I got to meet her. I was like, oh my God, just beside myself. And so I took the picture and and watched her rock my face, and it was amazing. And then time went on, and he was like, so can you send me a copy of one of your recent shows? I was like, well, of course, what for? They want to watch it. I'm like, okay. Joan, and I'm like, really? Sure. Next week after I got him the tape, he's like, dude, they want to do an interview.
That's awesome.
And I was like, huh? And so Joan called in and did an interview on the phone with us. It was so laid back and normal, so unlike anything she ever did before.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this happened. Wow. And the very next week, after they saw the copy of the interview I did with her, the guy, the manager, the keyboard guy, and has been with her the whole time, wanted to call in and do an interview with me. And so I interviewed him. And I was like, this is insane, right?
Yeah.
So the relationship with Joan Jett was gold the whole time I was doing that. So she came back through town, and I think it was Town Lake in like early 2000s, and I got to introduce her to some of my crew that were big fans, which was good for me. I was like, I've been to the mountain, I know she's awesome, let me bring my friends in, you know?
Yeah.
Another time, she had a show at Electric Lounge where Sin Cola opened. She had a crush on one of the girls in Sin Cola, so she was like, let's take them on tour with us.
Yeah.
And so they played Dallas and Austin and whatnot. So I went to the Electric Lounge show, front row center, just like their show all night. And it was a club show. It wasn't like the rock star Joan Jett, it was punk rock Joan Jett. She was like she just punk rock. I don't even know how to better explain it. She was so hardcore. And I got to hang out backstage with her at that night and just casually chat. I'll never forget it. It's just amazing. So I could go on for about Joan Jett. She's amazing. Willie, we talked to. And Jimmy to this day. Jimmy is such a gentleman. I went out to a friend of mine's wedding at Enchanted Rock. And Jimmy's a mutual friend of both of us. And took Will. And just throughout the day, he was just so nice to everybody. But he walks up out of nowhere and introduces himself to Will as a friend of mine, just out of the blue. And I'm like, yeah, by the way, that's Jimmy. I don't know if you yeah. So that felt really good to me because I've been following those guys since the 80s.
Yeah.
You know? And so he's always been very nice and cool to me. And he's even been like, hey, I love that show you do. You know, so it's not like he's a viewer, but he's seen it and he's aware of what I do. So that's cool.
Awesome.
But Stevie, I went to school with his sister-in-law, I guess it would be. So he married Lenny, and Lenny's sister went to school with me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I got to know early on that whole clique of folks, and my favorite thing, I got to hang out with him a few times. I've seen him front row center dozens of times, so I'm blessed there. But my favorite thing is to say is that I helped him fix his carburetor. So little Lenny stole his car one night when they were going through their divorce and ran it out in the boondocks off the road and shoved some kind of limb through the carburetor in the front, and he had been working on it all day before he played at the Opera House, and drove up to the Opera House, and I was chatting with him, and he's like, hey, will you hold the flap on the thing while I just hit the gas? I can't check it any other way, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I did, and so I helped him with his carburetor.
That's
you know what
awesome.
I mean? So yeah. Lots of good old stories like that for sure.
Yeah. And any other favorite memories you?
You know, the Dave Fest things are building new memories that are just insane. You know, the first DaveTV, I had my homies. You know, I had Dana from Stonecracker up in there, and the folks. We had Brian from Riverside Riot, and God, it's been almost 3 years now, so I'm drawing a blank. But the thing about that was really special that I had been away so long, and all these folks, such as Dana, who had been a part of my TV show back in the day, were there at step one to support. So I knew, not only because of the crowdfund thing happening right away and all the support we're getting, but when people came out of the woodwork to show up and still be a part of it, it just felt so special.
Yeah.
Now to this day, when I get a new band I haven't ever heard, right? This is the cool thing. So, of course, like after doing a show over 2 decades, you're going to get somebody that goes, hey, I saw your show, or I saw this, or saw that. And that's great. I always love to hear it. But when someone comes up and is like, they saw DaveTV, you know, they don't know about the old show. And they're like, I saw this band, or I see you're doing a thing, and I want to be a part of it. That's what inspires me today. That's the cool stuff. Like, you still get it. Like I said, to be relevant with what I'm doing today instead of try to reinvent. I didn't want to go reinvent the wheel. I had the wheel. It spun well. But I didn't want to spin that wheel. You know, I needed a new one. So I'm trying to keep it relative to being new. There's some small changes. Capsize was definitely Texas, all Texas, nothing else. If you were from somewhere else, sorry, I had another show, we'll do it there.
Yeah.
So, and that show had music videos that you would see wherever. You know, because frankly, at that point of doing cable TV, it was far too easy to have these record label promoters calling you going, here, let me send you 20 CDs. Will you play this video? And when the band comes through town, here's free tickets and you can give them away. And I'm like, sure. And I mean, we're talking about, back then it was like Lush, it was Jesus Lizard, Pearl Jam, Ministry, Chili Peppers, all of that. And I'm like, sure, yeah, let's do this, But it really got to feel more like a job in a sense because it was expectancies based on product or money.
Right.
I wasn't paying to play so much, but they would have like a 30-second promo they wanted me to play every week for 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, here's $250. I'm like, oh, that's not pay to play at all. Thanks for your money.
Right.
Yeah, cool. But I couldn't do that anymore, It wasn't like that wasn't the only reason. Yeah. But the whole mindset behind it all and while I appreciate you because you're hired and you told me this video is good and I happen to like it and it was good. But when you call me next week about this video that I don't care about and you're telling me it's just as good, but I've already told you I don't like it and you don't shut up about that, I get you're paid to do that, but that's where I'm out.
Yeah.
So I'm sincere. And I won't tell someone that I think they suck if they do, if they ask me. I'll be like, well, it might not be for me, but you're doing what you do very well. I try to find something.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't like everybody, and I don't like every band we have on the show by far. I say it's probably a lot easier to get on the show that way.
Yeah.
At least play in the studio. Yeah. But as far as when I go out and see a band and I shoot a live video and I throw it up on my YouTube or whatever, that could be anybody. I don't care. My goal when I go see a live show is I find like a band or two that I know, and let's say there's 4 bands and I know all of them, and then there's 4 bands and I know 2 of them. I'm going to that one.
Yeah.
Because I already know everything about all the other ones.
Yeah.
That's how I look at stuff.
Yeah. That's a lot of what I do. I end up going to shows because I'm like, okay, I know 1 or 2 of the bands, and then there's going to be 2 or 3 other bands I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go check it out because I already know I'm going to enjoy myself at least part of the night, but also...
I think one of the things I've got to learn to do differently because it feels like I'm part of the problem. CDs. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll buy them to support the band, but they're wrapped. I don't take them out. I'm going to listen.
I buy t-shirts.
Yes,
I will
absolutely.
buy t-shirts. Sometimes I will buy something on Bandcamp, not necessarily to play it, because I have Spotify and that's where I listen to everything. Mm-hmm. And I know it has to get to a certain point, but at some point you do get paid for having your music on Spotify.
Yeah.
But I also realize it takes a lot to get there, so that's why I'm like, I will definitely buy the t-shirt.
I sometimes will leave it on repeat, like I've got a locals only playlist.
So I have to have I have a little bit of tinnitus, so I have to have something playing all the time, otherwise I'll just hear it buzzing. Okay. So I keep my phone on Spotify and I have a playlist that's specifically for local or just not big bands and just have that playing all night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
yeah, I think that is the key to getting heard. That's the bottom line. If somebody hears you and they like it, they're going to do the right thing. They're going to buy a shirt or they're going to pay cover or whatever. I believe that.
Yeah.
I hope that's true.
Yeah, I do that too.
I know, people, the passion. Izzy Cox, for example. I've seen that lady play to 100 people or 3 people and deliver the same show.
Yeah.
Regardless of what was going on in her life, it was showtime.
Yeah.
And then when she would stop, there was no break. She got off the stage and immediately walked up to each person hand to hand and was like, hey, thanks for coming. I have CDs. Do you want one? They're like $7. And they're like, I got 5. She's like, no problem. Here.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter that 10 people paid cover or 5. But, of course, we all would love to get paid, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, the passion. So going back to Spotify and how much it would pay or not pay, right?
Yeah.
So they hear the music. It turns them on. I hope that works. That's the fire that I have to believe in.
Yeah.
So,
Same, definitely. I am very sad I never got to see Izzy Cox. I didn't know about her pretty much until Izzy Fest happened, or her thing to try to help her with her medical bills. And unfortunately, I think she did maybe 1 or 2 shows after that and wasn't able to make it out for those, and then she was gone, and I was just like,
Yep, she played Dave Fest. She asked me on the hospital bed if she could play Dave Fest. I'm like, duh, yeah. I just didn't book you because I know you're sick, know? And so she made that happen. It was so hard for her, and she did it, and the ghosts were amazing. And she did 2 more shows that South by, And then she was taken to the hospital where she didn't leave.
Yeah.
I was with her when she left. We held her hand. I played her song on my thing that Nathan recorded for her of her song, and Gabriel and everyone in the room sang her songs and held her hand and went with her when she went. You know, it's all we can do.
Yeah.
And I don't want her to go on sick.
Yeah.
And I was with her a lot when she was getting sick, and as satisfied as you can be for someone leaving your world, because that's all it is.
Yeah.
You're going to be that. Anything I've got about her wishing she was here is it's for my, like, I'd love to see her play live. I'd love another record. You know, that she was satisfied. She did everything she wanted to do. So
that's good.
yeah, I'm
That's
sure
all
she
you
could
can
have done
hope
much
for.
more. You know,
Yeah.
so we still share her music, of course.
Yeah,
You know, I've got a set she did right here that's on YouTube. I like because it was just me and her hanging out like we're hanging out. You know, and that's one of my favorites. And she's done a lot of stuff for us, and there's a lot of Izzy music out there. So I hope that turns on, as it did you, tons of more people to her music.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Do you play any music?
Couldn't, to save my life. Keep trying. I want. I've got like the ideas in my head, and I had tried to even have Will show me bar chords, and I'm not even smart enough to get bar chords. So I don't know. He's benefited for sure. You know, he's got my stuff. It's like, I'm gonna try again. No.
He just took it all.
These
over.
hands, I can't, like, the strings are. My hands are like 10 times larger than they should be. You know, and I can't barely get one string at a time with my fingers, so I don't know. That's my excuse. I know better. But I don't know. I think we're all passionate about something.
Yeah.
If I was passionate enough about that, it would happen.
Yeah.
We've got enough guitar players and bass players.
Yeah.
I don't have the gumption to be a drummer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, well, I did a karaoke TV show, so I won't say I'm not going to sing. I'll say you don't want to listen. How about that? I'll do Madonna like a virgin and roll around on the floor at karaoke. But you're not going to want to be a part of that. I don't mind. It happened at Beerland. I hope there's not video. I'm not sure, but
Oh, I bet there is somewhere. Somebody, please find me that video.
it was good times. Good times.
And what are your goals for DaveTV now?
Well, you know, this season, which is our ninth season as DaveTV, I did start thinking about, well, how do we move forward? Because we're 120 plus, 130 shows in, and it's really challenging to get every band that I want to get on the show. Because, you know, best case scenario, there's 4 Sundays in a month, and I get 4 bands in a month.
Yeah.
How many bands do we like?
Yeah.
It's going to be impossible to ever, like, if I just sat down and went, here's my list. You know.
It's never ending, so.
So I tried to open it up for the first 100 shows or so to, like, okay, this is when I book. You call me, I fill them in, no matter what. You call at the right time, you're on.
Yeah.
I'm getting really hectic. I got some great stuff out of that. But, so today I'm going to step back, and this season all I'm trying to do is fill a month-ish ahead and be comfortable with who I've got. Yeah. I'm kind of handpicking people.
Yeah.
People ask me to play all the time, and I'm like, where are you playing? I need to come watch you. I want to see what you got to bring to the party, and then we'll go, you know?
That's one of my rules. I have to like you because it's my infinite playlist, number one.
Absolutely.
And then I have to see you live because I want, to me, you live or die by your live show. If you can't put on a live show, you're sorry, but it's not happening.
One of the reasons I don't really open that CD.
Yeah.
I don't like, it's great, you can do that in the studio.
Yeah.
But when I stand in front of you, are you bleeding rock and roll on me or not?
Exactly.
You know? Because I'll go to road shows. I used to just write them off because I've been to every band I ever wanted to see essentially growing up. And I'm like, while that's great, it's like, hey, thanks, it's great to be in Austin. And here's my speech that I say every night. And here's the songs in the same.
City, so much better.
Can you get louder than Laredo? So I got bored with that and stopped going to road shows. But, so occasionally someone will come through that I'm just like insane about.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga, So the second they went on sale, I bought a ticket.
Yeah.
And I was like, there.
Yeah.
She did not disappoint. She
I
came
bet she
through.
didn't.
I have chill bumps thinking about it right now.
As soon as it was announced, I was like, I want to go, but I just know it's not gonna happen. Like, I didn't even try.
Because I missed the last time.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me the last time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
All
I guess I better
next
try harder.
time.
Yeah. So totally went. She blew me away. She took a stadium show and made it feel like a local show because, of course, she had the same songs, like basically, and some of the same raps, right? You have to. You're on. It's your job. But so between songs, people, when she's doing her rap, she'd be like, I love you, Lady Gaga. And she'd be like, hey, I love you too. Hey, you're wearing a certain shirt, and then she'd start talking to them about what was going to like sidetrack. And then be like, oh yeah, back to the story,
Yeah.
And it was so personalized that it was worth, to me, more than I paid. I paid like $60-$70 for, nosebleed.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
And she got all over, there was all the stages. She gave more than her money's worth, which I couldn't say about anyone anymore. The Foo Fighters kick some ass live, but you have to be a real fan of the music because it's that, and God bless them for it. It's not bells and whistles. It's rock and roll for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And that's great that they do that.
Yeah.
I don't know too many road shows though. I went to see Doyle. It was good, but it was the same show every night.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Misfit show. He does various, like this tour was all Doyle material.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear any Misfits, which I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was an okay show. His singer, Alex, is amazing, so that was one of the reasons I went. Went to see the Dead Kennedys. I wanted to be more impressed than I was. I liked them when Brandon sang for them after the first guy they got after Jello was not going to happen. I saw them at the back room, and they were great. But I went to this one recently, and that singer guy is really annoying to me. So I respect them, and I'm glad they're doing it. I'm not the whole screw them or screw Jello thing. I love them both.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But it's the road to the passion. I miss the passion.
Yeah.
So to continue building the passion into what I'm doing in Dave TV moving forward, to work with people that are truly passionate about what they do.
Definitely.
That's what I do. That's what I want to do, and just kind of find my niche there. I would love that more people watched it, whether it was the rerun or live. I think we would all like that, right? Let's see the numbers grow. Why? Because that delivers our message. Exactly. It's not that we need a new number out there or some kind of fantastic statistic and like we're trying to make money off of what we do. But we do want people to hear about the bands we're passionate about. So that's all we ask. Like when someone comes up to me and is like, oh, hey, I went to see Apotheca because I saw them on your show. Yeah. I'm like, well, shit, yeah, that's why I do this.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I made a status on Facebook earlier this week or something, and I said, if my podcast has helped any of the bands that I've had on reach new ears, then it's done exactly what I set out to.
Totally what it's about. It's like to put another head in the door. I never used to do much booking because if you ever try to book a show or you'll know it's like, oh my God, now I got to deal with this. Usually it can be great, but there's always stuff, right? Yeah. So I started to book some shows because people like Texas Mist and Kick Butt are being really open to allowing me to fill a night for them. Nice. That will bring them a little money to stay open. You know what I mean? Like it can't just be, hey, I'm going to throw you 4 bands, Mm-hmm. So I've been experimenting with that, and I've been real happy with the support that people give. I think it's important in this scene to not to segregate genres, but book genres that work together. Yes. So while it might not be a metal band and a hard rock band because that's a no-brainer, right? Or a punk rock band and a ska band because that's a no-brainer. Yeah. But if you put like an acoustic act like Pickles or something on a bill with like Burn Band or whatever, it's going to work. Yeah. And the people that come to that are the same. So it's a matter of knowing your people. Yeah, I think audience, as someone in our position, I think if you know your people and your audiences, you can put together better shows. Yeah. So you see the way I said that, right? This is the way I could have said that. People in Austin that book shows don't know what they're doing. That's not what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I wanted to say it that way. Yeah. They do get focused on other things, such as time frames, filling the hole, because I got to fill the hole. Right. So they're too busy doing stuff.
You have a list of people, and 3 of the people have said no because they already have some other commitment, and you're like, well, I still need to fill a slot here.
Yeah. And so do you know who to call or do you not? You know, A. B, do you have the time to deal with that? Or are you busy doing inventory and ordering new beer and, doing your budget so you can pay the people who work? Yeah. It's not fair for people who do the real life stuff to have to do the booking. It's not fair for a band member to do the booking.
It's not fair for them. It's also not fair for those who just do booking as their thing. Because I have a friend who does booking, or she did, and she's going to get back into it soon. And so many places are trying to do it on their own, and it's just, I don't think it's working out well for anybody.
It's thankless.
Yeah. Sure. And I get that you're not wanting to have to spend that extra money, but sometimes it's worth it to know that it's going to turn out the way that it needs to turn out, the way you need it to turn out. That's why you have a specific booking agent. And that agent will do what you need them to.
Exactly, and then there's a reason.
The money, honestly.
Right. The other thing people fight with on that one, and I'm not going to say there's a right or a wrong way, but promoters do a job, so they should be paid however they decide they need to be paid, right? Wherever it comes from. But it gets turned around because a promoter will book a club that books itself traditionally. So let's say John's Club has people who works for John's Club, and they book bands, and that's that. You play and you do what you do and you fall on whatever lineup. Yeah. So John's Club hires Joe Booking Agent, and Joe Booking Agent gets a killer lineup, but tells these bands, you got to sell tickets at $7 each, and you keep 2.
Yeah.
And that, right or wrong, not trying to make a judgment. Yeah. Because you got to get paid, right?
Right.
That comes off so scary to people.
Yeah.
As it's well known, I do what I do essentially for free. One time a year, we hit you up at Dave Fest if you wanna. Yeah. If you don't, come enjoy the music anyway. Yeah. I shoot bands every year for free on the studio. I go out to clubs to keep my chops up. Yeah. Every once in a while, someone will call and be like, will you come shoot my band? And I'm like, I usually run into you when I plan to go out, so I had to come up with here's a rate sheet. Yeah. So you want me to come shoot? Okay, it's like $100 to $300. What do you want to do? How fancy do you want it? Yeah. And then if someone's going to put that money behind it, I'm like, I'll clear the slate. We'll make time. Sure. Yeah. It's not what I do, but let's go. Yeah. I got to find a way to help anyone who wants to get help. Right. I can't just rely on who I run into. I don't think it's fair. Yeah. So that's the thing I'm fighting with moving forward with DaveTV. Like, how to make it most relevant, how to cover the people that want and need the coverage. Yeah, definitely. That's it.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Do you have any, where all can we find DaveTV?
One more time?
Where all can we find DaveTV?
So, we are live. There used to be more of a beauty to live, I guess podcasts that are live, you kind of still get that vibe. We used to do live TV, and it was a big deal because you could call in. It was after midnight. People were drunk and having fun already. We're on at 5 o'clock in the afternoon now on a Sunday. Yeah. Live TV is like, well, I guess this is where we're going to record it. Because that's all that happens. So live people watch it, and then we record it and put it out for the YouTube thing the next day where most people watch it.
What station is the live on?
The live is on Channel 10 if you have, I guess it's Spectrum now. It used to be Time Warner. So if you're in Austin and you have Austin cable of the Spectrum variety, it's on Channel 10 at 5 p.m. every Sunday afternoon till 6:30 p.m. Usually the first 45 minutes or so are a live band full set. And then afterwards Nathan and I make funny talk and play music videos. Yeah. It always gets archived on my YouTube channel, and there is a folder for each series 1 through 9. And my YouTube is youtube.com/rawtime, like the old show, RAWTIME. And I have got approaching 10,000 clips on there to browse, so it's not easy to find, but I suggest search. Yeah. The most current stuff I leave hitting the home page, so when you hit it It should be like the first little choice. DaveTV.org is our home. It's kind of a bouncing spot, not so much for programming, although the weekly show sits on the homepage as an archive. It's the place that you go to at the top, all of our contact and links like my Facebook, my email, the YouTube, the Twitter, it's all like right there.
Yeah.
I'm a little unsure of how relevant a .com, in my case a .org, is anymore. With Facebook, with all the other social media, I'm not sure where that fits in, so I'm not putting a lot of work into it. But my youtube.com/rawtime, channel 10 locally, and then davetv.org are your main places to find what I'm doing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And do you have any advice for musicians, videographers, photographers, podcasters?
Be passionate about what you do and believe in it yourself regardless what anyone else thinks. That's the core.
Yeah.
I don't want to say don't appreciate the input you get from others, but don't let it drive what you do.
Yeah.
Let your passion drive what you do. Follow that. Yeah. Be wrong. Don't be scared to be wrong.
Yeah.
Go see a band that might be good, but might not be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I think that keeps me going with it.
Yeah. I definitely feel like I'm more comfortable with that now. I'll take a chance. I'll spend the $5 to $10 and take a chance on somebody and find out, like, are you good? No? Okay, well, there was a couple other bands and some of them were pretty decent, so why not?
I will in a heartbeat do the $5 thing. I think if it's a $10 show, not that it wouldn't deserve it, but I'm not going to go to a $10 show unless I know I'm there to see someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not knocking it.
Right.
But my checkout band nights are free and $5.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
makes sense. Yeah.
The whole thing with Austin, and I try never to just knock stuff, but like to try to give beer is not an incentive. You don't pay your band with bar tickets. Come on, really? You know, make it worth their while. Gas, you can't put beer in your gas tank.
No.
You can't get a burger on the way home after the gig for beer. Give them $5 a piece. I don't care. Something instead of nothing.
Yeah.
And there are people in this town that do.
Yeah.
There are. But I don't know. I wish there was some way that we could come together and find a better way to focus. Because everybody that's doing the job needs to be compensated. It's not anybody working for free, whether it's the bartender, the door guy, the owner. There's reasons. So something broke along the way, and music was devalued.
Yeah.
It's background now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to change it, but if I ever can.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much.
Heck yeah! Thanks for coming.
A lot of fun.
I'm a part of the Infinite playlist.
Yeah!
Yes, Julie, yes! Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was created, edited, and produced by Julie Roth with help from Nick Colbert. The theme song is by Animal Abstract. Special thanks to Nikki Nadeau. All songs performed are property of the musicians performing them. If you like the podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and help the podcast get on the charts. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Julie's Infinite Playlist. And you can also donate via the PayPal link on the website, www.juliesinfiniteplaylist.com, and like us on Facebook and Instagram.